China looks like returning to higher growth this year. A lot depends on the Trump administration and their attitude towards tariffs on Chinese exports. Will China react or retaliate? And are the Chinese serious about the anti-stocks of oilseed? The rupee is under pressure. Food price inflation is going higher every day. And that brings me to the question, when will India revoke the big 20% hike in import duty which was announced in September 2024? At some stage, India will have to remove that hike and bring import duties down. Otherwise, inflation in India will be too high for the consumer. Now, my figures, when we do the world SNDs, I have not revised. I will only revise them for POC in late February. So they are exactly the same as in my previous papers. India's imports I estimate to be 16 million tons. Soya will dominate because soya has been so cheap. Palm will stagnate, and sun oil will roughly be slightly lower than last year. Overall, for the world energy demand grew in 23-24 by 3.5 million tons. Next year, 24-25, I believe it will grow by 4 million tons because of bigger biodiesel mandates, Indonesia, Brazil, USA. World food demand normally grows by 3 million tons. It grew by 3 million tons last year. Next year, I think it will grow by 2.5 million tons because the high prices have dented demand, particularly palm oil. So, net effect, both years, demand goes up by 6.5 million tons. Now we come to our main slide of what is the SND, incremental supply and demand. Incremental supply and demand, last year, supply went up by 7 million tons, demand went up by 6.5 million tons. So, this year, supply is only going up by 3 million tons, mainly palm oil and soybean oil. But sun oil has shrunk, rape oil has shrunk. So, supply goes up by 3 million tons, demand still goes up by 6.5 million tons. So, there is a potential for a rise in the market, which the market is not yet factoring in. Now, these are only estimates. It may be that the demand for biodiesel does not increase as much because of less incentives in the US, high prices elsewhere, Indonesian B40 not working to schedule, all kinds of things have happened. So, that may have an effect and that may reduce the deficit between supply and demand. It's possible, so we have to take that into account. Price outlook depends on certain factors. How soon will the B40 policy be clarified and implemented in Indonesia? Right now, as I said, they are still clarifying one clarification every day. Every day it changes. Let us see. What does President Trump do with regard to biofuel incentives and tariffs? The weather in Argentina and the planting weather in North America. Also, the trajectory of the dollar. Strong dollar is not conducive to high prices. We expect the dollar to weaken at some stage. And finally, crude oil. Will crude oil remain weak because of too much production of fossil fuels? Remember President Trump talking of drill, baby, drill. So if crude oil prices remain low, the POGO will be very high, the BOGO will be very high, palm oil, gas oil, bean oil, gas oil. In which case, to fund the subsidy on biodiesel will be a challenge and it will affect the demand for biodiesel. What will be the price of it? With the prevailing uncertainties, world consumers of vegetable oil have dodged a bullet and have escaped high prices. We were very bullish. And things could have been bullish. Indonesia had gone to B40 straight from 1st January as they were promising. But they did not. The uncertainty that will be created, they are still nowhere near that. Similarly, the uncertainty in the United States. So all these factors have removed the inflationary fuel that was in prices. The bullish outlook that we had painted has been postponed, and I expect that palm oil futures on the PMD third month will trade between 4,000 and 4,800 between now and the POC conference in KL on 24th of February. So there has been a reprieve, a relief for world consumers in the last couple of months. World consumers must thank President Provo and President Trump for the current reasonable price levels. I shall give a more detailed full-year price outlook in my paper at POC in KL after these current uncertainties to some extent have been cleared by the end of February. However, if I look ahead based on current information and current weather forecasts today, production of most oilseeds except soybeans appears to be rising and will be higher next year. If demand turns out to be softer than expected, mainly in terms of biodiesel, and fossil fuel prices remain low, which means that subsidy required remains high, how will palm perform for the rest of 2025? Now, this is just speculative thinking on my part to give you a flavor of what things could be like. If fossil diesel prices remain soft due to higher production, sanctions, etc., palm oil futures may trade around 4,000 ringgits for the rest of 2025, unless if we have a weather problem somewhere. So the rest of 2025 may turn out to be rather soft in terms of prices. Lauric oil outlook, coconut oil production is clearly in a downtrend and my outlook remains unchanged. Prices should trade around 1800 to 2000 CIF Rotterdam for coconut oil and roughly the same for palm kernel oil between now and June 2025 until the CPKO market production improves. So in conclusion, man-made uncertainty created by the two presidents in Indonesia and USA has come as a huge relief to world consumers of vegetable oil. And the only question is, how long will this relief last? If the uncertainties and the confusion last until March, the consumer will escape completely the high prices which we had feared. This is something the industry also has to take into account. With those words, I wish you all good luck and God bless. Thank you very much.